As important as it is to understand the patient journey, my industry, that is the marketing industry, has done a terrible job helping practices make the patient journey anything useful day to day. My guest today agrees, and he helps his clients turn that journey into tangible, actionable mechanisms practices can use to grow. And we're going to have a good conversation about what that looks like. I'm Carl White, principal at Mark Advisory Group, which is a healthcare marketing agency, and I'm also the host of PracticeCare. The mission for both is the same, and that's to help private practice owners stay private. That's usually what they want, but care is better when the providers of care are the ones who own the practice, because then every decision, business, clinical, whatever it is made by those who are providing care, so we can rest assured that patient care, quality patient care, is always being considered at the top of the list, which is exactly where it should be. My guest today is Daniel Tribby. Daniel is a healthcare provider, effective business growth strategist, award-winning author, top keynote speaker with a vision to help healthcare entrepreneurs build a practice that serves its patients and sustains profitability for the long term. Daniel, you're coming back again for the fourth or fifth time. I like our series. Thanks for coming back.
Absolutely. These are a lot of fun, and I feel like we're dropping some significant knowledge that's going to help
Yeah,
as
I hope
entrepreneurs
so.
build the business that you're really desiring to build for yourself and for your patients.
Yeah, because we're talking about the business, the marketing side. That's all a practice care. It feels like more often than not these days, that's what determines ultimate success. Clinical care is supposed to be good. It's the business side that differentiates. Um, so you've been on before. Anybody who's heard another episode knows you a bit, but for those who haven't, that was a very brief bio, but that's what I asked for. So who the hell are you? Tell us more about you.
Oh, nobody. No, I did Holiday Inn Express last night. So I am a provider. My background's in sports medicine. I worked in the physical rehabilitation world for a long time and got a little frustrated with the quantity over quality that so many of us as
Mhm.
patients have experienced, where we have long wait times for short times with our providers. And then on the business side, told your productivity numbers are great. How much more can you do? And
Mhm.
I got frustrated with that and decided that, maybe this wasn't the field for me to continue into. So I
Mhm.
branched out into medical sales and did that for a little while. And then the never say never thing, I guess, came back and got me. And I ended up opening my own private practice that was self-pay, cash-based, that specialized in stem cell therapy for bone, muscle, joints, spine. So we had an
Mhm.
MD on staff, and we did all of the bone marrow aspirates and PRPs and amniotic tissue when that was popular.
Mhm.
Uh, really just gave patients a way to heal from more chronic orthopedic injuries than the typical surgical route.
Mhm.
And as I was doing that, I'm very heavily involved in how we as business owners operate our most effective and most efficient ways in private practice. So
Mhm.
when you own a business, those are the two things that you're most worried about: efficiency for people, effectiveness, or sorry, excuse me, efficiency for systems,
Mhm.
effectiveness for people.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I got asked to speak more about what we were building, how we were building it, started coaching a little bit, consulting some, and now that's predominantly what I do, is working with private healthcare systems on how to be more efficient and more effective as a business.
And any type of practice or more like in where your former world or
Yeah, I typically, most of my clientele are going to be cash-based
okay.
offices, because I find that when it comes to operational strategy, people want you to help fix their billing stuff. And I'm not a biller. There's RCM people for that.
Yeah.
Predominantly work with those who are in the cash pay world, physical therapy, orthopedics. I've got pediatric dermatology right now, and some other fields within healthcare, dentistry, that would surprise you that cash-based models work very well,
Hmm.
both for the owner and for the experience that patients would have along their patient journey, which I guess is what we're talking about today.
Yeah. 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 And the recent tax legislation that passed, um, for anybody who's familiar with a health savings account, now you can use some health savings account dollars towards a direct primary care or concierge membership fee up to a certain points. I don't know if it's FSA dollars also, but it's definitely HSA dollars.
Definitely. That was a huge thing in this marketplace. And it's a huge thing for employers too, because
Mhm.
employers
Yeah.
looking to cut down on their healthcare costs so that they
Yeah.
can offer high deductible plans for emergency medical services and then partner with a direct primary care group,
Yeah.
then you have better access for your employees. So that was a huge legislation that came through.
Yeah. Yeah. And different topic for another day, but I wanted to call that out.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the patient journey, how to operationalize it, what that means, big topic. Let's start with a basic definition.
Mhm.
Um, Simple definition, please. What is the patient journey? And the reason I ask is because you can line up 10 marketers who think they know what they're talking about, and you're going to get 10 different answers, just totally unhelpful. This is why my intro, I said what I said. So
Yeah.
ground us, please.
Definitely. I think a lot of times when we're business owners, we're concerned with the patient journey as it reflects to the funnel, right? So how
Yeah.
do we get them interested in what we're doing? How do we get them in the door? And then what do we do with them as an office and then get them out?
Yeah.
Versus the patient journey as a way to satisfy the senses, right? What
Hmm.
is the patient hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, if that's a part of your office? Like what are they experiencing
Hmm.
that would make them say, this place is legit? I want to tell all my friends about it. I
Hmm.
had the best experience, right? So replace journey with experience. What is
Mm.
patient experiencing at every touch point of your business? And when you can design operational flow around every touch point that the patient experiences, you
Hmm.
end up with patients who have a very high level of trust with you
Yeah.
and who want to refer more of their family, friends, coworkers to you.
Yeah. I like that because I never thought about it. I mean, journey, the word journey implies an endpoint.
Right.
Um, but you know, whether you are a practice model like, let's say, primary care, where patients ought to be coming back on a regular basis, forever, or you are you are different, where you perform a surgery, let's say, and then they're kind of gone unless something else comes up. You still want them to have a good experience with you so that they tell other people about it.
Hmm.
And so I like the word experience better. Uh, why are why are we as marketers so excited about this thing, but most non-marketers are not? Is it just because we suck at defining it and describing it, or is there something more to it?
I think that's maybe a part of it. I think we're all concerned with the volume of people, right? So most healthcare is unfortunately centered around the quantity of people that I
Yeah.
can get in the door, versus the quality of the experience that I can offer them. Because
Hmm.
we're so transfixed on numbers. The more people I have, the more I can bill out to insurance, the more money I could potentially make.
Hmm.
And that's not a provider problem. That's an industry problem, right?
Yeah.
That's
It's an
created by
economics problem. Yeah.
yeah, it's been created by, health insurance companies and all of that who cut cost. And again, we could go down that rabbit hole all day. But I think the primary thing is if I have 100 people contacting my office every single month, um, I now have not a marketing issue, but a sales issue, right? How do I get them
Hmm.
on the schedule? How do I get them in the door? How do I service them? And we're concerned about the beginning point and the end point.
Hmm.
How many can I get in and how many can I satisfy? And the
Hmm.
experience is not just about, like you said earlier, it's not just the end point. It's not just, oh, I had my meniscus done with Dr. John and now I feel great.
Yeah.
Everything in between, like, was Dr. John a nice guy? Like, did he have good bedside manner? Were you greeted pleasantly? Like, all these other touch points matter in between there. But we
Yeah.
get so concentrated on the start point and the end point, and we miss the
Yeah.
middle that really makes an impact on patient care.
Yeah. The start point, the treatment point, and then the end point. But there could be chasms in between those 3 points.
Exactly.
In at least in general dentistry, the word production is used. I don't know if you've come
Yeah.
across this. Got to get. I need you in production. I've heard that said, and it just, no offense, dentist, but it makes me shiver. I'm like, I'm not a
Yep.
widget. I'm not a widget in a plant, a
Right.
manufacturing plant. I mean, what do you mean? Need you producing? What are you producing? You're treating me anyway. But it just, on the surface, it sort of speaks against the what we're talking about here. Um,
Agree.
so we're talking about an experience rather than a journey, something without an endpoint. We're talking about you know, how people feel rather than the straight analytical steps. These are not necessarily straightforward concepts.
Yes.
So how do you operationalize all of that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you have to do is make sure that your services feel tangible
Hmm.
to everybody. And
Hmm.
we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, was that when you buy a product, you can go experience the product. If you're buying a
Hmm.
new mattress, you get to go lay on it.
Hmm.
If you are buying a TV, you can go look at it,
Hmm.
right? If you're buying anything that's a product, you can touch it, smell it, feel it, all of those things. But
Hmm.
healthcare is different, right? I made the joke that you can't like test out pregnancy.
Right.
You can't test out dislocating your shoulder, right? These are
Yeah.
things that happen in normal life, right?
Hmm.
Planned life if you're talking about pregnancy. But in order for the doctor's office to be really successful, you want
Hmm.
to create a tangible feeling at every touch point. So when
Hmm.
we talk about operationalizing your patient experience, I find that if you break this out into tangible steps, right? So step one, they
Like literally
call.
draw them. Step one, step two, and anytime a patient is interacting, even the most minute way,
Yep.
it gets
And
its
then
own
you
little box. Yeah.
And then you look at, okay, well, what happens at step one? What's the value that's created for the patient, and what's the desired outcome that we would have as a business for the patient, but more importantly, what the patient would experience in that moment, right?
Hmm.
So let's say step one is the initial interaction. It's a phone call, it's a Google search, it's an email, right? And what you want to happen is that patient to schedule an appointment with you. That's your end game. But
Hmm.
everything in between matters. So what actually is going to happen during that process? We're going to talk to them. We're going to build rapport with them. We're going to listen to their problems. We're going to
Hmm.
empathize with them. And then we're going to get them scheduled. So the value we gave them was their moment of trust in us. That's the
Yeah.
value that they got that led to them having an appointment.
Yeah.
Step two, they show up for the appointment. What happens? What's the value given? Step three, so on and so forth.
Hmm.
Once you have this charted out, I tell everybody anywhere from 3 to 7 steps, depending on where you are,
Yeah.
um, or what kind of practice that you have. Once you have all that lined out, you can then look at it and say, okay, operationally, we need to be concerned with two things: effectiveness, which is for people. How do we most effectively talk to our people? How do we most effectively train our staff on what they're supposed to do?
Hmm.
And then we talk about efficiencies. Now,
Hmm.
efficiencies are for systems.
Hmm.
So if people are calling, is the most efficient way for me to have a call center? Maybe. Is the
Hmm.
most efficient way for people to schedule online? Probably,
Hmm.
right? So you have to consider what are the systems that I need to put in place that
Hmm.
make us the most efficient, that
Hmm.
don't escalate our overhead costs, but also allow us to be the most effective. So always
Yeah.
remember, effectiveness is for people, efficiencies are for systems.
Yeah. I think of it as maybe this is the right way to think about it is what's the most effective way while not compromising efficiency or
Exactly.
something, right? Because you could be super efficient and off-putting if
Right.
you're not careful, and that's death.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you're right, 3 to 7 steps, not 30 to 70, not one.
Right.
Um, I saw one, it was a former guest. They actually had this mapped out and they were counting. So if you've got, let's say, 6 steps, for every 10 who got to step one, how many made it to step two? And if it was 9 or 10, cool, it works. You want to make it better, but it works. But if only two are making it, well, then you've got a problem. What's going
Where's the
on in
gap?
there? Why are only two? Were the other eight really bad prospects or was
Mm.
something else? What's going on in there? And you can
Right.
triage them and make sure that they're as good as just simple kind of data collection.
Yeah, and a lot of offices are more geared towards their most efficient selves while neglecting the effectiveness, which the effectiveness is part of the patient experience.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of offices who are very high volume, very quantity driven, are like, I don't have time to spend 10 minutes on the phone with every patient that calls here. I got to get people scheduled. I got this to do. I got that to do. I got, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Then don't be upset at your 3.7 stars on Google,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I think I've used this analogy before. You can be very efficient with your schedule. You can block out certain times to get certain things done, but you can't time relate effectiveness. And if you don't
Hmm.
believe me, if you're thinking about breaking up with your girlfriend, boyfriend, try to schedule that in a 15-minute time block and let me know how efficient that's going to be. It's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
right? You have to be effective in that conversation.
Yeah.
You have to be well thought out about what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. You don't want to hurt people's feelings, those kinds of things. That's
Hmm.
effectiveness.
Hmm.
And too many offices are more concerned with the efficiencies of what I get done versus the effectiveness of how I speak to people, relate to them, make them feel
Yeah.
comfortable, make them trust me, all of those
Yeah.
types.
Yeah. And you know, when you're in a, let's say you're in an insurance environment, yeah, I mean, um, there's a ceiling on what you're going to collect, right? So
Mhm.
yes, efficiency becomes front and center, but not at the expense of effectiveness. Is what, you know, so I get it. I'm wondering, like, when you start with clients, where you see them get this concept, like the best, not effective as efficiency. Like, do you see, like, you know, they're commonly screwing up certain stages or steps, or where they really get it right away? What do you see?
Um, I think in the beginning, we're too focused on the transactional approach versus the transformational approach.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are distracted by they're on the phone with
Hmm.
someone and the phone is ringing.
Hmm.
So we feel the need to multitask and do all the things. And you get that, hold on one second, please. Or I
Hmm.
get a doctor's office that answers the phone. They're like, "Hey, thanks for calling ABC Orthopedics. Can you hold, please?" And they don't even give you a chance to say, "Yeah, sure," or "No, I don't have time to hold," or anything.
Hmm.
You put systems in place that handle that so you can release that load from those people and that experience of anxiety around I've got to be more productive.
Yeah.
We're our most productive selves when we're dealing with people in an effective way. That's
Hmm.
productivity, right? Productivity doesn't necessarily equal volume of numbers, right? It equals heartfelt connection that inspires trust, right?
Hmm.
So that's usually where the initial block is I get caught in the productivity numbers and how many people that I get scheduled in the calls. And that's when you get,
Yeah.
what's your insurance? What time can you come in? We have availability here. Okay, great. See you then. Bye. And we're
Yeah.
done, right? So having different systems in place, whether it's adding more people to answer phones or feeling confident to let it go to voicemail. When I ran my practice, if you're on the phone with somebody or somebody's in front of you, that person is the most important thing going on right now. You
Hmm.
handle that, you let the call go to voicemail, you call people back so that you
Hmm.
can give them your undivided attention. So it's breaking that habit of feeling like I have
Interesting.
to satisfy all the touch points at one time. And I
Yeah.
leave the day going, oh my God, I don't want to talk to anybody else today. Like
Yeah.
burnt out. So that's usually the point of understanding between effectiveness and efficiencies. Like
Yeah.
you got to be able to separate your productivity to look like how effective was I today versus how efficient was I today.
Yeah, and you can see the allure, I mean, of just going on the efficiency side because it's so measurable, so much more measurable. Like, you can tell, how'd we do today? Well, let's look at the numbers. But how effective was I at giving my undivided attention to everybody who needed it? I don't know. I think I did. I certainly tried to.
Yeah.
It's a tough one to, you just, I guess, well, I was about to say you need to have faith that that's the right thing to do, but we know more than it's not just faith. Like, we are social, we are relational creatures.
Yep.
And it sure feels good when you feel like you're getting somebody else's undivided attention. Um, so there's no need to measure it, I guess. You're just supposed to
Yeah.
do it.
And I think we measure the wrong things at times.
Hmm.
So you and I have talked extensively about KPIs and what to measure. Well,
Hmm.
measure what's important. What do people care about, right?
Hmm.
You're in a service industry.
Hmm.
You're not in a product industry where you have to sell a certain amount of units. You're in a
Hmm.
service industry. So what's
Hmm.
important to people? All right, well, one of our most significant KPIs should probably be wait time, right?
Hmm.
Time spent with your physician, time spent on the phone.
Hmm.
Those are more significant KPIs. So we measured time of appointment to the time the doctor got in the room.
Hmm.
Hey, we can use those because that's both effective and efficient. And that's the
Hmm.
final, right? Is how we're most effective and most efficient.
Yeah.
When I know that from the time of your appointment to the time the doctor comes in the room is less than 10 minutes, guess what I can now market?
Speedy. Yeah. Well, short wait times or whatever,
Yep.
however you'd say it. Yeah.
Yeah, all of our new patient appointments were 30 minutes long minimum. And
Mm.
we ran within 10 minutes of appointment time to being pulled back and the doctor being in the room. So
Mhm.
now we can market and say, if you're tired of spending 2 hours in the waiting room to be seen for 2 minutes, we don't have that problem. Our wait
Mhm.
time from appointment time to being seen by the doctor is less than 10 minutes. So if time is important to you, we're for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So those things matter. It's
Mhm.
not operations. I think people miss the boat here when it comes to operations. Operations is the cog that all the spokes connect to.
Mm.
Have a brand, and that brand stands for something. And every operational efficiency and effectiveness is a part of that brand.
Yeah.
And operations have to connect to all the parts of your business.
Mhm.
When we talk about, I would say, when we talk about effectiveness as a whole, if you're not an effective business owner when it comes to working or talking or connecting with your employees don't feel empowered to be effective when it comes to talking to patients.
Yeah.
So there's your other side. Do you have an open door policy? Does your team feel like they can go to you or the management team or whoever and be heard? If
Mhm.
they don't, why should they feel like they have to do that for the patients that call?
Yeah. I was waiting for us to get to you know, healthcare it's a human relational thing. And so if you, Dr. X, owner Dr. X, if you got into medicine to help people feel better, then hyper operationalizing at the expense of talking to them is not going to get you there, right? So, but you can, if you've got the brand and the culture of, we wouldn't say it this way publicly because it's sort of shapeless, but we're the human doctor. You know what I mean? Um, your operations can back that up, and so if you've got a front desk that's too busy because they have to do five things at once, and people are one of those five things, and they can't put the other four things aside whenever a person thing is needed, your brand is self-imploding.
Right.
It just is, and it's not what you want. And now what are you doing? Now you're going to compete on how operationally efficient you are, which is where everybody else is.
Mhm.
um, Good luck. I mean, it's a tough game to win.
Yep. And it's a quantity game that
And
you're
it's a
playing.
quantity game. Is that really what I mean? You need to have enough quantity. I get it, but um,
Yeah.
it's
A
hard.
lot of people will say, well, how are we supposed to have time to do all that when this phone never stops ringing? I'm like, if that's your excuse to not be your most effective self with
There's
patients,
three or four easy solutions to dealing with the phone,
right.
you know?
1,000%. I've worked
Yeah.
with some providers where you have to teach patients you have to teach any patron how to do business with you.
Hmm.
That's the key.
Hmm.
So I've had some offices that you can only schedule an appointment by booking online.
Hmm.
If you have problematic issues, that's when you call the office.
Hmm.
Otherwise, don't call us to book. Book right here. Here's our
Hmm.
schedule. Here's our availability.
Hmm.
This is our most efficient way to handle that. And if you have complaints, concerns, problems, questions, things like that, now call us and
Yeah.
we'll handle those. And that's perfectly fine because there are people out there who want to just be able to go click, click, boom, done, great, got my appointment, I'm out.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
And that's who they're talking to. The
Hmm.
people who don't want that experience don't need to be in that office.
Hmm.
Period.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, there's so many ways you could do it that way. You can outsource the calls. You can take some of the other tasks. Like we had a guest, they're virtual assistants, medical virtual assistants, all sorts of things that are like, insurance verification, handling certain phone calls can go that route. So that there's just ways to deal with it. But unless you operationalize it, the way Daniel was saying earlier, draw the map, draw the boxes, you know, priority number one, effectiveness. Let that patient feel happy. And then, by the way, um, even if a patient's a 3-4 year patient with the practice, this is as important as ever because you can lose patients. Things can change. I've seen it with my clients where just something changed and the patient, yeah, it just doesn't feel the way it used to feel, you know?
yeah, and we relate that to retention too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's our retention rate. Is one of our steps in our patient experience geared towards keeping them involved in what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, hey, ABC Orthopedics is sponsoring this charitable donation. If you have some extra funds and you would love to, please, we'll match dollar for dollar what you put in. That kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. That keeps patients involved in what you're doing. It
Mm-hmm.
keeps top of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, we'll see you in 6 weeks, 6 months, or in your yearly checkup. Like, what are you doing to retain them, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
familiar with the ADA/R model when it comes to marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing about marketing is attention, which drives interest, which drives desire, which then leads to somebody taking action. But
Hmm.
then the other end of that is retaining those people, right?
Hmm.
What kind of ancillary products do you have that are part of your patient experience? What kind are you guys offering skincare if you're a dermatology office? I hope you are. If
Hmm.
so, are your people on just a recurring billing cycle where they get all of their skincare products from you?
Yeah.
Great, right? That
Yeah.
keeps them in your loop, right? That
Hmm.
keep one, it means you don't have to have a continuous revolving door of new patients
Hmm.
because you have retained people who are continuing to spend money at your practice because
Hmm.
they like and trust you, not because you're just trying to gouge them, but
Yeah.
they know like and trust what you offer, and
Yeah.
they're more likely to take part in what you're doing in your community as a business.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's this, I think you mentioned it when we started the funnel, the common, like the marketing funnel, the sales funnel, whatever. But that's like half the story because the funnel says, all right, they had their first appointment. We are therefore done. Mission accomplished. No.
Yep.
Uh, I'm part of this organization where they say it's actually like an hourglass. So there's the funnel at the top, but then there's this whole massive world underneath that's as broad and wide. And that's keeping your current patients, your current customers happy and engaged in one way or another because they can come back and they can tell other people. I mean, if you're keeping your patients happy, they're repeat patients,
Mhm.
and somebody asks for a referral. Well, do you like them? I've been with them for 5 years. There it is. You know, there it is. Rather versus, well, I saw them once and what didn't you like? I don't know. It just didn't feel, it's death. That's
Right.
death. You're never going to get that other new patient.
And every company on the planet does this. Every successful company. I mean, look at Apple. Not let me put out a new phone every year, sure, but they update their phones. They offer you access to a $10 a month subscription fee for Apple
Hmm.
Music.
Hmm.
You didn't just buy the phone from Apple. Now you're paying a subscription model to have access to the music portion or the
Yeah.
health app or whatever it is. So they've introduced different things to keep you engaged
Hmm.
and into things that you like, but also that you're willing to pay for because they contribute to your life in a
Hmm.
very positive way. And they
Yeah.
also help push the business forward. And that's why Apple's $1 billion business,
Hmm.
right? So how do you do that as a healthcare practice? Well, 90 something percent of healthcare practices don't email market at all. The only emails they already send out are appointment reminders.
Or
What are you
invoices.
doing?
Yeah.
Thousands of patients do you have in your EMR
Yeah.
that aren't hearing from you?
Yeah. Yeah, we do that with a lot of clients. We pick a newsletter. It's so damn tactical, but there it is. It's just reminding people you're still there. It's providing good, useful information. Yeah. Everybody starts with the same, like, oh, I hate getting emails. I'm not a fan either if it's overkill, but I'm talking about once a month, something valuable, simple, different story.
Right.
Definitely a different story.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't take much. I mean, the average, if you're doing well in email marketing land, the average open rate is 15 to 20%.
Hmm.
So if you have 5,000 patients in your EMR, 15 to 20% of those opening, even if it's a weekly or bi-weekly email, come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
and you're offering something of substance and these people know, like, and trust you,
Yeah.
that's just money you're throwing away if you're not capitalizing on it.
Yeah. And we do them once a month and it's like 50, 60% open.
Perfect.
I know,
Love it.
so 2,500 patients just got reminded that you're still here. And trust me, out of sight, out of mind is a very powerful force. You have
Mhm.
to push back against it. So if we kind of simplify this down, map out the steps, there's a balance between, 2 steps and 25 steps. You want to be in the middle, more towards the two side. There's 3 to 7 major steps, the way Daniel said. And what you're thinking about is make sure I've got it right. Let's convey a positive feeling as best we can efficiently, but without compromising, that positive experience.
Right. Yeah, we talk a lot about the cheers method, right?
Hmm.
So you have a drink and you toast somebody and you take your drink,
Hmm.
right? Well, I can see the drink, I can smell the drink, I can taste the drink, I can touch it, right? I can do all those things, but I can't hear it.
Hmm.
And so the reason we think is because now we've tied together all five senses. At least that's the modern day. The old reason they did that is very different. But the
Hmm.
modern way is to tie together all five senses. So again, we're making it tangible and we're
Hmm.
making it sensible to
Hmm.
everybody we are toasting in that moment,
Yeah.
right? Do that in your practice. How is your patient experience tangible? How are you appealing to the senses?
Hmm. And by the way, a good place to get some insights on each of these steps is your patients. Um, Ask them. Just,
Survey.
people, I don't know, there's a resistance. There's a bit of it takes some time, it's true. But your good patients, especially the ones you'd like more of, they will help. They will tell as long as you tell them what you're asking and why you're asking it, and you know, overly assure them they can't offend you, with good, honest feedback. But ask them, just ask them, and there's gold. There's gold in customer feedback.
Right. And there's survey your patients, right?
Hmm.
Send out surveys via, if they're used to getting emails from you, survey them, right? Or when they come in, have them do an electronic survey. If you
Hmm.
have them on site, especially if they're recurring patients, find out what they love and find out what you could do better. But remember that the emphasis on what patients love about you is why you continue to do it. So a lot of people will take the negative and try to bring it up.
Hmm.
They forget about pouring gas on what they're already doing well.
Hmm.
Gas on what you're doing well, and then take very small micro steps to improve what people might be complaining about. If
Yeah.
it's relevant, I've worked in some offices.
Yes.
People complain about the parking lot. I can't change the way the building was made.
Hmm.
There's no reason for me to do. I'm not going to send people out there in wheelchairs to bring you guys in for
Hmm.
every patient just to make it more accessible and better for you. I
It's
can't
true.
change, but
Yeah.
what are things that I might be able to make little micro steps into changing while I'm focused on what everybody already loves and pouring gas on it? So don't focus too much on the negative, pour the gas on the positive.
It's so true. It's such a great point. Don't take for granted that which you do well. Um, never, never let that go, because that's one of the reasons why your practice is doing as well as it is. Um,
1000%.
yeah, I feel like we covered a lot. Anything you think we should have touched on that we just didn't get to?
No, I think we've blown enough brains up in this conversation. Maybe made a few people angry when they talk about how do we be more effective when we're a high quantity practice versus a high quality one. Not that you don't offer quality care. Uh,
Mhm.
there's no doubt that you do, but how are you actually appealing to patients in a way that you stand out, right?
What
And that's
what what do you say to that? I mean, we have to double book. We have, quantity is our way to make the numbers. Um, Daniel, I can't disagree with anything you said, but maybe this is the next question. Where do I get started? I don't want to minimize it that way, but what do you say to people? Like, where?
in all honesty, that's a lack of creativity. That's all that is.
Okay.
It is a lack of wanting to do something different because I'm locked into the way that this has always been done.
Hmm.
Innovation goes to die in the way we've always done things.
Hmm.
Okay. So if you really want to offer a different experience, the goal is to say, where can I get rid of parts that are redundant, right?
Okay.
Where can I get rid of pieces that just don't fit the brand that we want to create, right?
Hmm.
Why did we get in business? What are we doing? Who are
Hmm.
we doing it for? And how are we executing on it? And getting to be able to sit down with some of these business owners and operationally just say, we need to fix systems. That's all this is.
Hmm.
You get rid of your double booking if you're maximizing revenue per patient, right? And then that gets into a sales conversation, which everybody
Hmm.
pushes back on. If
Yeah.
you're if you're a healthcare provider, you're in sales, period. You're selling yourself, your practice, your treatment methods. You've already done that. That's much harder than selling a product. I told you,
Yeah.
products are tangible.
Yeah.
Services often are not.
Yeah.
And so you have to take steps that let people feel what you're all about, right?
Yeah.
And then you can sell them on everything that you have.
Yeah.
There's people that play doctors on TVs that are better at selling products than you are, and you're the one who actually offers treatment.
Yeah. And I think you said this, maybe you didn't quite mean it, but the idea of where can I start? Well, still map everything out and subtract out anything that's redundant. Why do the same thing more than once? That's interesting.
True.
You
I,
know?
I think I believe that you need an outside person. You need a person like yourself or like myself to look
Yeah.
at this from the top down. Because even me, as a business owner myself, I need people from the outside that can look in and say,
What the
dude.
hell are you doing that way
Right. It's
for?
like,
Yeah.
what are you
I
doing?
don't know.
I
I
mean it.
thought it was pretty good.
If I'm in the weeds, all I see is weeds. I need
Yeah.
somebody who can stand over the top and go, oh, well, let's cut these out and cut these out and
Yeah.
let's watch what happens.
Yeah.
And so, don't shy away from connecting with people who can help you get out of those weeds because they have a viewpoint that's different than yours that can help
Yeah.
you. I would start by saying, don't be afraid to get on the phone with people who can consult you, who
Hmm.
know, have expertise, who are masters in their field, who can
Hmm.
help set you in the right direction to unburden you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like, I guess, you know, listen or ask yourself, I mean, if it's feeling like it's tenuous or you're just feeling unsatisfied for whatever reason, or just the reviews we get are not where I want them to be, or our churn is higher, like we should be keeping more patients than we are, unless you change something. It's always simple for me to say I'm sitting in the back of the audience in the cheap seats, but unless you change something, that's not going to change. So start by mapping it out, and then you could start to pick it apart, and you'll probably find a lot of things that are going really well. But then you can start to, you don't have to like overhaul the system in a day. You can um, find the biggest leverage points. If we change this, what would have the biggest change? And then you can be kind of analytical about it. But the goal is, if we all feel better in the office, it's going to show through to patients.
Hmm.
It just is. And
1,000,000%.
yeah, and you got to get started somewhere. And so maybe, the final question is, what's something super simple that somebody could do to get started? Um,
Ooh.
I don't know. I was about to say, I don't, I, we got to work on this one. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just staring yourself in the mirror and saying, I got it. I can't do this any longer. Like, we all
So,
tolerate immense amounts of pain. At some
mhm.
point, it's too much. But if you're
So
listening to this and saying, yeah, I just, we're more about volume than I want us to be, whatever that is.
mm,
I just say,
usually,
this is the year to go do something about it.
mhm. I say usually the first step I tell people to do, and it's mind blowing the amount of resistance that you're going to have to this, but spend a day writing down every single thing that you do from the time that you get up until
Oof.
to the time your head hits the pillow. Take a journal, write down everything you do, right? When you get to the office, key goes in the lock, open the door, turn off the alarm, shut the door, go like write it. I mean, be
Yeah.
insanely descriptive about everything you do and get rid of 50% of it.
Oof.
Now, that means getting rid of the unnecessary,
Hmm.
getting rid of things you can systemize.
Hmm.
Those two things, unnecessary stuff, get rid of.
Hmm.
Systemization, bring it in, right?
Yep.
Because that helps free you up in so many ways that
Yep.
you now can be more effective with your staff and then with your patients.
Yep.
That's a tool that I use a lot, and people usually get bogged down by it because they're like, I can't not do this. I can't not do that. Are you sure? Or are you just so used to having to take that on that it feels like nobody else could do it? And
Yeah.
if that's the case, you have a different internal issue that says, I'm a perfectionist.
Yep. 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 And two things I would say, please don't do either first or ever. One is delegate that to somebody else. We have a different episode about delegation and abdication are totally different. But if you say to, I don't know, the practice manager, go fix this. Well, I can tell you how that's going to go. I
Right.
just can't tell you how quickly it's going to get there, but it's not going to go well. And the other thing is, don't pick one little area. Just say, like, sort of tactically change that and we'll be all better. You got to step back and do the analysis first. Strategy before tactics is a kind of good way to live your life. And this is an area, take the time to map it out. The insights are going to be alarmingly interesting
Mhm.
and useful. And then planfully, where do we want to start? Let's start there. And how do we know it's just because that'll be more lasting. You'll build systems along the way, as Daniel's been saying, which are automatically more durable and lasting, rather than say, I see this in marketing, so I just need more social media. I'm not so sure about that, but okay. But where's the strategy? So if you want things to be durable and actually work, uh, do the planning first.
Are your patients on social media? If not, you don't need to be on there.
Yeah. Who are you trying to talk to? Right. Right. Or I need to be more or whatever. I need videos. Do
Yeah.
you? Okay. Yeah. Not so sure, but okay. Um, Anything else we missed before we wrap it up?
No, sir, I don't think so. I think there's, like I said, enough brains have exploded in this episode.
Yeah.
Feelings hurt.
But you know what? necessary pill to swallow. So absolutely. Um, excellent. So thank you for coming back yet again on Practice Care. I love these conversations because it just feels like there's so much potential
Absolutely.
in some of the
Yeah,
stuff
thanks
that we
for having
talk
me.
about. Yeah. Your contact information we have, they're going to go into the show notes for this episode and every episode you've been on. Anybody who wants to contact Daniel, you now have this way to do so as well. 2 quick points before we wrap up. First, subscribe to Practice Care if you haven't already. Practice Care is one word, easy to find. We're everywhere. New episode comes out every week, and that's the easiest way to stay up to date. And secondly, if you're like Daniel or us and you serve private practice owners, or you're a private practice owner yourself, you've got some experience on the business side of practice. Don't overthink experience. All experience is good experience. We want you to come on Practice Care and tell the world about it. In every episode's show notes, there's a link. Take it like a minute tops. Tell us what's on your mind, and we'll get you scheduled as soon as possible. Thanks very much, and until next time.